Hi there, I'm Mary Susie from Bead Me a Story. Thanks so much for joining me today. I think this is going to be a really fun project. If you like it, please be sure to like and follow us on YouTube. And of course, all the supplies and these kits can be found at beadmeastory.com. So today I'm doing a simple bead soup chain. And this, as you can see here, can be a wrap bracelet, or you can wear it as a necklace chain. So this could be a standalone necklace chain. You would also be able to add some other components to this if you want to, and create a longer chain and have some larger beads incorporated into it with things like eye pins or that are wired in and things like that. So you can really do a lot with this chain. And I wanted to show you this approach to it, which is basically that we're using size 8 beads in here, but we're not just using plain old seed beads. We're also incorporating some Toho Demi Rounds, which you can see a metallic one right here. We're using some Miyuki Spacer Beads. I'm also using some Miyuki Drop beads that would be a similar size to a size 8. And in your own arsenal of beads, you might have some triangle beads that are size 8. Anything that's going to be of similar size, you should be able to incorporate into this chain and make a lot of really fun mixes that are really pretty. So each of these has 5 different colors of jump rings, and they also have 5 different beads in the chain. So I will be showing you how to do this, and the directionality of where each bead is placed is going to matter. But other than that, this is a very, very simple project, and it's just very versatile. So I wanted to share it with you, and I wanted you to be able to start making your own bead soup chains. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so in order to start and end this project, in my kits, I provided a smaller jump ring to start and end this with, and this is a ball and socket clasp, and those are very easy to work with. They're very secure, so I think you're gonna like that part of it. So first thing we're gonna do is just put one of these jump rings onto the end, and that's simple as pie. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and close that. And that is just so that we have something that doesn't have a bead on it next to the clasp. That makes things a little bit easier to work with. Okay, so up here, you can see I've got silver jump rings, and then I have some Toho Demi Rounds. I have some more jump rings. These are matte finish jump ring. I don't know if you can see that. There you go. Matte finish jump ring. These are check beads in a size 8. So that is just a basic seed bead. Over here, I've got a shiny jump ring again. And then I have some drop beads. And then I have matte silver frost. I've got some silver line beads, and they're just size 8. And then I've got some green jump ring, shiny, and then some champagne. Okay, so 5 different things, so 5 different elements, and I've tried to kind of vary it. I want an odd number, so 2 of these are matte, 3 of them are shiny, and I've tried to use a variety of different kinds of beads. Now, drop beads, Toho Demi Rounds, Miyuki Spacers, you might even be able to incorporate some hex beads, maybe. And then of course size 8 beads, and they could be either Czech or Japanese. Just be careful if you're using Czech. I happen to know that these ones are fine with jump rings, but sometimes the Czech beads can have holes that are a little bit too small, and you might see as I'm going along here, I may pick up one that isn't going to fit on the jump ring. Okay, so I always provide a little extra when I know I might have a jump ring that is like that. So, don't worry about it. Not every bead is going to fit on every jump ring, and that's fine. I will tell you the Toho Demi Rounds and the Miyuki Spacer Beads, you're generally never going to have a problem with those. And if you prefer to, you might even be able to put 2 of them onto a jump ring instead of just 1. This is all about creating a bead soup, a random looking mix of colors that just make into a very simple chain. But it's nice to have the different shapes and textures and shiny and matte going on, because it creates a lot of movement in your chain, and that was kind of the whole purpose behind this. Okay, so all we're gonna do is we're just gonna create this chain with, like, you know, one jump ring and one bead at a time. It's really as simple as that. There's nothing fancy going on here. It really is just the mix of colors and the mix of bead sizes and textures that's going to create this whole look. I wanted to keep this very easy. I have some ideas to expand upon this, but I wanted to show you the easiest idea first, and this is just very simple. So you can see, you know, 5 different things going on here. So I've got 3 different kinds of beads, you know, because I've got the Toho Demi Round and the drops. I may not use drops in every one of these. I'm just going to go to my bead supplies and I'm going to see what I have to coordinate with the kind of color look that I want to create. So I have lots of demi rounds and spacers, so I always like to incorporate that because these are much flatter. You can see they're much flatter than a seed bead, much tinier. They come in beautiful finishes. I just really love them. And they behave more differently because they are so skinny. You know, sometimes, like I said, you can put 2 and then they can work into different weaves that a regular seed bead wouldn't be able to work into. Okay, so I'm just linking that to the jump ring that I attached to the clasp. Okay, like I said, that first jump ring was just to give space around the clasp. Now I'm going to attach the second jump ring. This is my matte champagne with my eggshell bead. Okay, and right now we don't have to worry about anything, but starting with this third jump ring, that's when we're going to start looking at what we're actually doing. Okay, so now our third bead. So I'm gonna pick up the jump ring and I'm gonna grab my bead. You can do it after too, it doesn't really matter. And that fit on nicely. You may have some drops that don't fit, so just keep that in mind. Okay, so you can see if I go through this jump ring this way, then I'm not looking at the last jump ring I put on. I'm looking at the first jump ring with the bead that I put on, because you can see those are going to be running in the same direction. Okay, so I actually want this drop bead to be on the opposite side. So see how the Toho Demi Round is on top and the drop is on the bottom. So if I hold this out all straight, those are on opposite sides. And that's what I'm looking for, is if you go 2 jump rings back, you're looking at how this new row I'm adding is going to match up with that. Now I'm doing my silver frost. These are tiny. That is the only hard part about this, is everything is really tiny here. But that's kind of the goal, is to make this pretty tiny, very textured and very various colored chain. Okay, so if I pass this one through here, now I'm looking back. I'm not looking at the drop bead I just put on. I'm looking back at this eggshell colored bead. Okay, and I can see these are going to land on the same side. So I actually want this to land on the opposite side. But something important to know here too is that this drop didn't get locked into place until I applied this new jump ring. Okay, so that's really going to lock this onto the opposite side of this demi round. And then now the one I'm doing, I want it to be opposite the eggshell, and I'm just applying it that way because it's easier. But if I had put it on the wrong side, it wouldn't really matter because I could flip it over to the other side. I like to put it on the correct side as I'm working in the jump ring, but had this been the wrong side, I could have just slid it over before I added this next jump ring. But since I just kind of lay down the work between each one, I like it to be laying where I'm going to want it to be. And that's just me. You can do it any way you would like to. I just want you to be aware that as I lock this next jump ring in place, that's what's going to lock this amethyst silver line bead in place. Okay? And I'm looking over here at my drop bead now, and this one needs to be on the opposite side of the drop bead. So see how the drop bead is on top now, and the champagne metallic bead is down on the bottom. Okay? So if you haven't understood this, I think as you create a chain you will, because of course, you don't want every bead laying on the same side of the chain. So we want this first Toho Demi to be, that's towards me. The drop is away from me. And then the champagne is going to be towards me. And then this other row that has the eggshell in it, that's going in the opposite direction, or it's perpendicular to the ones we were just looking at. So I want one eggshell that's, now this looks like it could be at the top, and then the amethyst is at the bottom. But I'm just kind of trying to show you this close up so that you can see that when we do 4 jump rings, these are all sitting on 4 different sides. Okay? And then as you go along, we used an odd number of rows. So this is going to alternate even more where things are sitting. But ultimately, as I apply this, I'm just looking at this amethyst row and making sure that this is on the opposite side to that. Okay, so see how the amethyst is towards me and the new demi round is away from me. And as I apply this demi round row, that is locking this champagne bead in place. Now it has 2 jump rings passing through there. Okay, so that's just going to hold its place. This seems very simple, and this is simple. This is just a 1 by 1 by 1 chain. But understanding the location of the beads can be challenging for people. I've taught this type of thing in person, and it can be very hard to understand how we're trying to get these beads each located on all 4 sides of the chain. Okay, so see here, as I pass this eggshell one through, I'm looking back 2 jump rings at this champagne, and I do not want these on the same side of the chain. So I'm going to just turn that around, approach it from the other side. And again, I don't have to approach this from the other side if I don't want to. I could just flip the bead over to the opposite side. I'm just showing you how I do it. This is not the way you have to do it. But the goal is the same, and that is just to have all of the beads sitting on all 4 sides. And then because we're using a odd number of beads, things are going to work out and look very random as we go along. Okay, so there's another drop. And I'm just going to do these 2 more rows for you, and then I will show you a chain that's already in the works. Okay, so see, I'm making sure that that's on the opposite side from the eggshell. And as you do more intricate chains, I think you're going to find that this rule of the jump ring with the bead that you're applying, as you apply each new one, it's locking the jump ring before it in place. So as we apply beads, you can see this one on the end, we can move it to either side still, but the second we apply this jump ring and bead to this chain, then that is going to lock that row in place. And that happens quite often. I have quite a few chains that behave this way. So it's a good thing to learn and understand if you're going to bead on chainmail. The other thing I like about beading on chainmail is you can see the full bead. If this was in beadwork, we'd probably only be seeing just one side of the bead, but with this chain, we're seeing all around each of the beads, which is really nice. Okay, so I'm going to show you the one I have in process. Okay, and you see how kind of random it looks and how we have lots of movement. The drop beads added a lot in this particular one. I'm not necessarily going to put drop beads in every one, but I wanted to kind of point that out, that just it being such a different shape and a little bit larger than the other bead, these definitely stand out. And then I'll show you one more. This one, I did not use a drop bead. Okay, but still just as pretty. And we still have the different shaped beads going on. Okay, so you can see this just makes a really nice, tiny little chain. It's very easy to do. And you can, use up leftover beads, use up leftover jump rings doing this. You can have a lot of fun with this. You can break it down into segments and use them separately and extend it with other chains in between and just have fun and experiment and have a great time. Okay, so thanks so much for joining me today. I hope to see you next time.